Eric Adams deepens New York's friendly relations with China amid foreign influence probe. Now, this is my second story of the day on China and how they have influence in our government, spies and stuff. I just did a report on Tim Waltz, Harris's running mate, and how he have connections to China. They're talking. Russia's in the media right now. The left wing media is talking about Russia right now, but Russia is not really the real threat. The real threat is China, and mainstream media refuses to talk about what's going on here. How many spies do we have to find in our government before someone say, "Hey, we have a real problem here. We really need to start rejecting some of these, some of the China way policies that are being pushed in our country, in our universities, in our government." When is enough going to be enough? Yet they deflect by talking about Russia. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account as well. So follow me there as well. All right, so let's talk about this news. Now, this is crazy what's going on now. The Democrat Party has been infiltrated by the CCP. I don't know how many examples I have to show to prove that. But again, to deflect, they started talking about Russia, Russia, Russia again. Like we heard this story before. And totally ignoring the real threat, which is China. Now, this article comes from the National Review. I think this is my second story from the National Review today as well. Well, from Jimmy Quinn, he reports that, the website is real wonky. A swirl of federal law enforcement activity related to China's extensive political influence in New York has not deterred Mayor Eric Adams from pushing closer ties with China this year. You would think he would have some type of common sense, be like, you know what, we got all these investigations going on right now when it comes to China and their influence and spies and stuff like that. Let me step back a little bit away from this a little bit until this die down. No, he's too stupid to do that. Instead, he's pushing forward with his ties to China. This is just crazy. He and his Commissioner of International Affairs, Edward Mermelstein, have strengthened diplomatic initiative with China, some of which appear to involve the country's consulate general in Manhattan, which allegedly directed the activities of Linda's son, a former aide to Governor Kathy Hochul, whom the FBI arrested this week on foreign agent charges. Again, you would think he would stop with his ties with China, but they are so entrenched. They have so much dirt on these officials, I believe. They're making him do this. But the Sun case fueled concerns that Beijing has corrupted government institutions in New York. It follows charges brought in April 2023 against two individuals who allegedly operated an illegal Chinese police station in Manhattan, Chinatown. Just think about that. There's a whole nother country. Our adversary, China, had their own police station set up in New York in our own country, and you tell them, and they allowed this to happen? Are you kidding me right now? But the U.S. Attorney Office has an office for Eastern District of New York, which brought both cases, meanwhile, is reportedly investigating Winnie Greco, a senior Adams aide linked to Chinese officials and one of the defendants in the Chinese police station case. The reason for the probe, which included a raid of two houses Greco owns in the Bronx in February, is not known, and Greco has not been accused of wrongdoing. After the Chinese police revelations, the mayor's team asserted that he takes the CCP threat seriously, but City Hall's recent activity suggests that Adams is preoccupied with cementing New York's friendship ties with China. Again, you would think he will pull back a little bit, especially with all this stuff that's going on, but he's too stupid to do that. In May, he welcomed Gong Xing, who is Shanghai's deputy Communist Party secretary and mayor, to Gracing Mansion. Quote, mayors are on the front lines of every major issue in our country and our planet, Adams wrote on X later, adding that he was honored to host Gong. So they make no bones about it. They have with their ties with the Chinese Communist Party. But during the meeting, they signed a memorandum of understanding, quote, to promote friendly relations between the two cities, a development that City Hall did not specifically publicize, though it is posted pictures of the signing. National Review obtained English and Chinese copies of the memorandum using the Freedom of Information Law after seeing a reference to it in a Chinese government summary of the meeting. The one-page document recommitted to an agreement that former Mayor Michael Bloomberg signed in 2007 and contains peons to goodwill and cooperation between the two cities. How can you have that with? How can you believe any type of document that you make with the Chinese Communist Party? I mean, again, Eric Adams is dumb. He's not a very bright person. Look at how he's destroying New York City. But the document also contained language of Taiwan that supports Beijing effort to annex the island country. It states that the two cities will establish closer ties, quote, in coordinates with the principles of the joint communique on the establishment of diplomatic relations between the United States and the People's Republic of China. It is likely that this language really does serve to allow China to claim that NYC endorses its one China principle, that Taiwan is part of China. Julian Koo, a law professor at Hofstra University, told National Review after reviewing the memorandum. Both countries signed the 1979 joint communique in which Washington said it acknowledged Beijing claims to the island country without endorsing them. When U.S. officials describe America's one China policy, therefore, they always make sure to additionally mention America's separate legal and diplomatic commitments to help Taiwan resist China aggression, Koo explained. Both the NYC Shanghai memo does not refer to those additional elements. Overall, I would not say this is a big deal, said Koo, who specializes in foreign law and international law. But he added that the agreement, quote, will be a vector for more PRC influence in NYC and a part of its larger influence campaign inside the U.S. The Chinese party state agencies have played up the importance of subnational exchanges between the two countries as Washington has taken a tougher line against Beijing. The effort spurred a federal counterintelligence warning in 2022 that China is circumventing D.C. to find allies in state and local government who can help press its agenda, including through sister city agreements overseen by the Chinese People Association for Friendship with Foreign Countries, CPAFFC. CCP political influence organ flagged in the counterintelligence document. So why is he doing this? What do they got on Adams? How much is they giving him money? What is going on to make Adams be so close or be so tight with China, even though we all know that they are our adversary? With some of those efforts focused on isolating Taiwan, in 2023, Hong Ping, the Chinese diplomat who until recently served as consul general, urged Adams and Mermelstein to not attend a banquet for Tsai Ing-wen, who was then Taiwan's president and in New York on a trip, National Review reported. Neither official attended the banquet. Of course not, because they're being paid by China. In June, Melmenstein attended a reception for the 44th anniversary of New York City's sister city relationship with Beijing at the Chinese Consulate General. Quote, these relationships between New York City and Beijing are a powerful example of how international cooperation can lead to shared success, he said in remarks there that were quoted in the People's Daily, a CCP propaganda outlet. He posted the article to his personal LinkedIn page. Huang also spoke situating the event in broader sister city campaign. Another reception at China's Consulate General in February, Melmenstein held, quote, productive dialogues with Guangdong province, according to the CCP's China Daily, also a propaganda outlet. Quote, New York City China relations have always been good and will only get better. Melmenstein said it's not clear if CPAFFC was an intermediary for those discussions, and City Hall did not respond to NR's request for comment. Of course they won't. But in January of this year, CPAFFC President Yang Wenming unveiled his organization's plan to connect Guangdong with San Francisco and New York City. Hence the spies in San Francisco, that the Chinese spies that was in San Francisco that was arrested a few years ago. I mean, so we see our two major cities, San Francisco and New York City, is inundated with Chinese spies. And again, you would think when this stuff comes to light that people like Adams will back away, but instead they're not. It goes on to say, quote, even after the bombshell report of the communist Chinese spy employed by Kathy Hochul, and despite warnings from the intelligence community, NYC Mayor Eric Adams is continuing the NYC and Beijing Sister City Agreement, which is a formal partnership with Communist China and a national security threat. Representative Elise Stefanik, the House GOP conference chair, told NR in a statement, and good for her for speaking out against this. Again, you would think he would step away from CCP police stations in New York to employing a communist Chinese spy. Eric Adams, Kathy Hochul, and New York Democrats have chosen to prioritize the interests of our greatest strategic adversary over those of New Yorkers, Stefanik said. She also called for an immediate investigation into Adams and Hochul. And I hope they do investigate, and I know they will find some ties, especially when it comes to Eric Adams, because why would he continue to push this in a time where when we know this stuff is happening? They literally just arrested someone for spying for China a few weeks ago, and you continue to push this agenda. But y'all, let me know what y'all think about this. Do you think Eric Adams is a Chinese stooge? Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.